Hello, hello. All right, Cancerians. So we are headed straight up to that 1111 portal. So with that in mind, I thought we should probably go ahead and touch base. So the way I look at the 1111 portal is kind of like the mirrored image, where if we stare into a mirror, hopefully we get a genuine look at who we are, and more importantly, like what is it that we're actually doing, how are we behaving, because that ultimately is what's kind of creating our universe. So it's a great chance to take stock of something. Say, am I doing the thing that I actually want to yield, or am I getting the results that I want, or am I like, have I been putting out the wrong vibes for what I actually want to receive back? So it's a great time to like course correct and then like full steam ahead. So that's how I look at it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's how I look at it. Sarah, Kimberly, thank you so much for being here. Lulu, I'm so honored. Thank you, sweetie. So I wanted to start out with what energy of healing might be coming in for Cancer on the 1111 portal. Now, when I say that, this is only if they want to do this, right? Cancerian doesn't have to address healing and energy like that. But I'm going to say this: our Cancerian could be a profound healer, but maybe they need to make sure that they give some back to themselves, because these cycles talk about, like, there are times when we're really, really good about healing other people and we forgot about ourselves, and we need to come back around and give ourselves that attention. This could also just talk about healing any kind of cycle in our life, closing out the loop, letting something run its course, recognizing when something has run its course, and then allowing ourselves to start all over again, but not exactly the same, because we're older, we're wiser now. So it's kind of like every time we, have our birthday, it's a great time to consider, what have I accomplished? What do I still want to do? How will I do it different from here on out? What lessons did I pick up along the way? It's kind of like, even though it's not Cancerian's birthday, it's a good time to look at it like that, and to heal anything that has been going round and round, continuously coming back up in Cancerian's life that maybe has been bothering them. And or even something that feels old hat. Sometimes we get bored with something and it's like, then why am I still doing it? Why don't I intentionally take that out of my playbook and let me write something new into my life? So I think that's a really nice energy, because it's not really about releasing, it's about closing a cycle and then starting a new one a little differently. All right, in the big picture, what might we have coming up for Cancerian? We got the Queen of Cups, and in this deck, it doesn't necessarily have a reverse. It has what I usually call the deficit position. But I don't really look at this as a karmic in this deck the way I would normally would. It's just that it's perhaps Cancerian has either needed to pour more of their love into themselves, or this can be that we are reluctant to let go of something that we are demanding more of, and it might not be good for us. And there we could say, okay, maybe that is the, like, why are we doing something that, if it's not really the best for us, why do we keep doing it? So it kind of fits together with that cycles card, but it's very much about Cancerian being mindful of what they consume right now. And, if we consume entertainment that is stressing us out all the time, why not give ourselves a break from that? I mean, hell, if my storytelling is bugging you, click out, go listen to some stand-up comedy, go listen to some Nate Bargatze. I don't know if I said his name right. He is so funny. I love that guy. Go listen to awesome music, turn on some pump up music, listen to the whole album of Commitments. That'll get your blood pumping and your face smiling. Do things that make you happier. But this says there is something for Cancerian to be mindful of, a little self-check. Autism Guru, thank you. Sweetheart, you're so generous. Thank you, Angel. Thank you. This is just a little self-check. Now, we follow it up with the Ace of Cups, and it is in the negative. It is in the overgiving. So it's interesting, because Cancerian keeps feeding themselves a diet of overgiving and a diet of, let me do things that are going to deplete me and make me feel worse about myself. This is what Cancerians maybe been doing some of, whether or not they knew it. I'm going to say they knew it, because here's the change. Now, this is our positive in this, the death card. It's a brand new dawn. We can use the 1111 portal to say, screw this. I'm not doing that anymore. Why would I keep reminding myself of how an ex hurt me, how they cheated on me? Screw that. What do you mean I'm not lovable enough? That ex is the one with the issues, not me. I reject the idea that I somehow have to keep revisiting their social media page to remind myself that they're with somebody that they must think is hotter than me. No, we're not going to do that to ourselves. That's ridiculous. That's not us loving ourselves or letting ourselves move forward. Like that's kind of the way I would interpret this for our Cancerians. So if there is something that they need to do self-check on, it's that they've been investing in something that was making them feel less lovable, less, handsome, beautiful, attractive, less powerful. And this is the day they stop it. Now it takes a lot of courage for a character to do that. That goes really nicely with that first card, that Cycles card. I actually love this because who hasn't had to wean themselves off of something that was, we can replay an old negative memory in our head again and again. I am famous for doing that. I'm not a Cancerian, but I definitely will replay a painful memory. Why would I do that to myself? And I have to do a check. And usually my personal remedy for that is go out there and bring new stuff into my life. Then I don't even have time to think about the old rehashed memory again and again. Isolating is not a good idea for me. I have to get out and engage, be a part of life, be a part of other, things, other input into my world, which is tough for an introvert like me. So I can say I can relate to this message because I think it's very human nature to visit and revisit our worst moments or our most painful moments and keep it's like if we rubbed, salt right into our boo-boo. No, we're not going to do that anymore. So I love that message for the 1111 portal because this is the day that Cancerian stops doing that to themselves. They know that that's unkind to do to themselves. They know that it's time to kind of shed that, right? Because the death card is all about shedding an old energy. This is definitely waking up in the morning and feeling grateful to rise, feeling like I'm going to smile up at the sun and I'm going to be grateful and I'm not going to let my mind drift to something painful. And it could be that Cancerian literally has to make a promise to themselves. Maybe they need to write it down on a piece of paper to remind themselves. So when their alarm goes off on the morning of the 11th or the 12th, that they have a little list. The first thing that they're going to do is turn on a beautiful piece of music. Right now I'm hearing the intermezzo from Cavaliera Rusticana, one of my favorite pieces of just, it's such beautiful wake up music. But I'm also hearing the theme song by Ladysmith Black Mambazo from Coming to America, which is the other one when it's just the credits are coming up. Love, love, love that piece of music. Whatever it is about rising in the morning to something beautiful. I'm not saying Cancerian has to start out with music, but they need to start with something positive that starts their day and breaks that pattern of the negative thought process that they had. I mean, maybe it's standing up and doing standing naked, doing a little air bath in the cold morning light, whatever it is, doesn't matter, but they got to change their old pattern. Interesting. I'm talking about naked because we got folk with no clothes on in this. We have the Lovers. And this is in the positive position. So we have kind of like an Adam and Eve duo here. She's on one side though, in a really positive space. And he's kind of in this dark, cold, lonely space, and she's reaching out to him who's underground, offering him, in this case, the apple, saying, why don't you come up here where it's sunny? Because we're talking about the concept of choice, not necessarily lovers, but we do have characters without clothes on, which talks about vulnerability. If Cancerian were to use their energy from here on out to offer assistance or offer, I'll say, support only to those who actually want to make something of it. If we offer something to somebody and they just keep taking it, but they never do anything with what we gifted them, maybe we should stop that gravy train. On the other hand, if we're going to choose people that actually want to hold on to our hand as well, now the two of us are in sync. And I just think that Cancerian is seeing that change. We got the 10 of Cups here, and this is definitely in the deficit position. There's a lot of breakthroughs on the 11th. A lot of things that I think Cancerian is starting to recognize. They have a new formula that they will employ when they're dealing with people. I don't know why I keep feeling like Cancerian has a tendency to meet people that Cancerian feels drawn to because they want to help. But in the most gentle of ways, I mean, maybe this Cancerian is like an empath. Maybe they can't help it. Maybe their life's work or the way they gravitate. This could be the person who finds the baby squirrel and, is nurturing a baby squirrel. And then the next time you meet this Cancerian, now this time they have a baby bird that fell out of its nest and they're taking care of that. And they might just find people, places, and things that come to them somehow, like they're a little wildlife hospital or just in life in general. They may find the things that need to be attended to. And if Cancerian consistently finds themselves in that role, maybe they're saying, okay, I chose this role. I want to help others. We're all here to help each other. I really believe in that. That's one of my strengths. But let me govern it with, I have to keep it like a personal checks and balance system. I cannot keep giving if someone doesn't want to either get better, or I cannot keep giving if they never want to give back. I do need to use a new formula to say, I will give, but at some point I have to see, like on a pie chart or on a graph, I have to see what they're giving as well. I need to monitor now and again, hey, am I just giving and they've become basically like a stage 5 Klingon and they're just, gobbling up all the love I would give, all the caring I would give, and they're not actually, that's all I am to them now, is I'm making life easier. Because I think Cancerian has discovered that there are people who will be like, score, you're my gravy train of goodness. Now, that is only because Cancerian has a lot of good to offer. That's a beautiful trait in Cancerian. Beautiful. And I love the fact that Cancerian is not looking at it as a weakness. Remember, this card is upright. They know that this is a beautiful trait about them. They're not mad at themselves, but they are going to start using a different formula to do a checks and balance system to say, have the scales tipped to where this isn't a good time anymore because all I'm doing is giving and somebody is dragging me down instead of them stepping up and standing beside me. So nice changes in all that. I think this is a great self-check. I was using this deck for other zodiacs, but I don't want to do that for Cancerian. I don't know why. We're going to push it off to the side. In the realm of love, because I don't know, even though we saw the Lovers card, I'm thinking that was more of like the big picture for how Cancerian is identifying things on that 1111 portal. But now in the realm of love specifically, we do have some confusion because we got the 7 of Cups and she looks a little perplexed and she's staring up at a mask. I do think that this Cancerian perhaps has had a bit of let me put it this way. Movies give us this image of how love is supposed to be. And it's kind of a shock when it doesn't go that way. In fact, not just movies, but everything gives us this idea of how love is supposed to be. And in truth, a relationship that works really, really well looks different for every duo or trio or whatever rocks your boat, whatever works for you. Relationships look different for everybody else. I mean, maybe we could say, well, they have to have the, similar like traits, but really what it is characters have to both maybe be getting what they authentically need to feel harmonious. And it doesn't really matter who does what, as long as together they complete something like a satisfying unit, where they're both being satisfied in the ways that they need to be. But it feels like there's been a confusion when it comes to love and romance for Cancerian. And it may be because we have the Judgment, we have the Page of Swords. I'm wondering if Cancerian once upon a time fell in love with somebody and they wore a mask, but Cancerian was like, yes, but because there was love there, I mean, that's still the person who's supposed to be returning, right? But I think Cancerian is like, wait a minute. The more I think about that, why would I want them to return? Why do they get to return? Who says that's the way it's got to go? This Judgment card, this is Pan. Pan is a lusty little god. He, in the Greek pantheon of gods, he didn't ever really have temples built to him. He was just kind of like locations out in the forest and such. And he, tended to pursue whomever he was so drawn to. And at one point he fell in love with, or fell in lust with, this beautiful river nymph. And she didn't want anything to do with him, but he was hot in the pursuit anyway. And so she leaps away from him and runs back to her magical sisters, the other nymphs, and they quickly transform her into one of the reeds that grows by the river. And Pan approaches, and obviously she didn't want to be around him. She tried to get away from him, and now she's transformed into some other object. But he doesn't stop. He says, but I want her. So I don't know which of those reeds she is, and her sisters won't tell me. So I'll just cut a whole bunch of them, strap them together, and they'll become my pan flute. And I know one of them is her, and now I can keep her with me because I wanted to have her. And I'm wondering, the only reason I bore you with that storyline of mythology is because, I don't think mythology is boring. I love it. But I say that only because what if Cancerian in this storyline, when they're thinking about love, I kind of think that on the 1111 portal, they might be contemplating sometimes love can be, we assume that it's supposed to go a certain way, but then when we really contemplate, just like that story with the ins and outs of Pan, like, why did he think he had a right to insist that she needs to now be with him forever as his pan flute? He has no business taking something like that without the consent of the other. But I'm wondering if Cancerian kind of recognized that they have more or less been conditioned at one point in time to believe that a romance that maybe they weren't getting much out of still is supposed to have another go round when that person comes back on their wayward travels. And I almost think Cancerian is like, wait, what the hell? Why did I get programmed to think that? Maybe I don't want that. Maybe they don't deserve to carry my energy around with them like they own me, like their little pan flute. Maybe, or maybe Cancerian did this to somebody else. And they're like, wait a second, why have I decided that of course they're supposed to be mine, especially if they've shown me they don't want to be? Either way we slice it, this to me feels like a character who's really thinking about preconditioned ideas that we don't even know where we got them from. And why would we think that? And why do we really want that? Do we really want that person to show back up in our lives who maybe was already selfish? And I think Cancerian is really contemplating, they're definitely gathering information on this and asking themselves, why? We got a Queen of Wands in the reverse and we got the Knight of Wands upright. I believe at one point in time, Cancerian is saying, that person was maybe a bit of a player. And they're sexy and they're awesome and all that. But I don't wait for some player to come back in and, come back to town and scoop me up in their arms. That would be me disempowering myself. Well, I'm just what is that song? I got hoes in different area codes. This is not about men and women, so forgive me for using that term, but it's a song. Okay, that's the title of a song. But I'm not somebody that waits around for someone to come back to town. I think Cancerian is changing their mind an awful lot about 11-8. Thank you so much, you sweetheart. I so appreciate you, honey. Thank you for your beautiful donation and your awesome wit. We got the devil. I think if anything, this Cancerian is like saying it's super toxic that I was even considering somebody from my past who already didn't treat me the way I should have been treated, but it's also toxic of me to not say, hold up, I deserve better than this. Why would I let a player come back? If they ran off with somebody else and now I hope someday they'll return, screw that. I can attract a way better catch than that. In fact, what kind of a catch are they? I just see this huge breakthrough. I think that Cancerian is done with exes. I think this is their moment of turning things around. I do not think that they want any ex back. This is a very specific message, but it's an ex that was in that Knight of Wands energy. That's the kind of ex they don't want returning, even if they're reformed. It's like, nope, I built a bridge and I got over it. We got the Ace of Swords and we got the Ten of Swords. Sword of Truth cuts everything out. Ten of Swords is I'm done. I'm literally picturing somebody who's putting a thermometer in a piece of meat right now, and it's like, yep, this is so done. Pull it out of the oven. We're done with this. I love the fact that when it comes to love and romance, this Cancerian they're not wounded, they're not hoping, they're not needing to heal up, they're not needing to do anything other than welcome in the next hottie. We got an 8 of Wands. This is either Cancerian moving on, ready to talk to somebody new for the first time in a long time. This is a pretty momentous 1111 portal for Cancerian. I love this. 7 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands upright. It's funny how Cancerian keeps showing up as a Queen of Wands. Doesn't matter what gender, but Cancerian is looking only for long-term, stable connections, things that can grow. And the biggest thing, like measurement, I think that they're going to use now is somebody long-term material? Are they showing me that they have what it takes to do like consistent, they want to build something? Do they see how important I am in their life? If they don't see me as important, then peace out. But if they're interested in getting to know me, they'll show me that. They'll show me that they're more interested in me day by day, and vice versa. But I don't think anything else will do. I gotta say, the 8 of Wands says they could meet somebody really swiftly after this portal. The 7 of Pentacles I sometimes look at as just a 1 week time, but then to actually build a relationship will take a lot of time. So it's funny that I contradict and I look at it as just a week to get something going, but then it has long-term implications, if that makes sense. I love the fact that there's no exes. I love the fact this is a big turning point to exit from the exes. This could be a new earth energy that comes in. But let me ask about that 8 of Wands, because in the realm of love, 5 of Swords, I was going to say it could be that Cancerian is ready to move towards someone